Hey, Scott Jordan and Mark Warner for Jancast number 192 for Thursday, June 12th, 2024. Hey, it's the middle of June, Mark.
Hard to believe. Time has flown by. We're like halfway through the year even.
Next thing you know, the water temp will be up and there'll be jellyfish.
Whoa, well, that's not
Just
good
saying,
news.
there's something to look forward to in the summer. Because last summer the water stayed cold in New Jersey and we didn't get many jellyfish. So not that we want warm water, but we don't want jellyfish. But I'm sorry, I got off on a tangent there. So,
Well, jellyfish would be an interesting conversation to have in a future Jancast.com. So,
yeah, since our last Jancast, Memorial Day came and went, and we've all been having a good time. And what did people miss, Mark?
well, I think the biggest thing is Memorial Day this year just seemed to be quite impactful because it was unofficial start to summer.
Yeah,
And I know that from all the news reports I've been hearing regarding the resort properties at down the shore and other areas that seems to be back on kind of a normal keel,
yep,
which is really nice to hear. I mean, yeah, this is also like the 5-year anniversary of COVID.
yeah, you're right.
And, the amazing thing is you look back now over the last 5 years and it's like, did that really happen? Did we really close the world? Did we really have one-way signs in the supermarket?
Hey,
Like
remember driving to work was a piece of cake. There was no traffic.
no traffic at all. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like a memory of a movie,
Yeah,
not a memory of
you're
something
right.
we've really lived. But we're 5 years away from that. And the other thing is, that means we have nothing to worry about, right, Scott?
Other than AI, uh,
Well, the thing that really comes up oftentimes in the conversation about infectious diseases is that it's probably not over.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
you mentioned as we were talking prior to the show, there's been all kinds of pathogen outbreaks, not SARS-CoV-2 and COVID, but other
yeah.
things that are definitely grabbing the news.
Yep, yep. So we got well, the big one's measles, I guess, because people kind of know that one, right? Even though
Yeah.
they shouldn't know it, they are familiar with it.
One of the statistics that I saw recently is that the count on measles in I guess in the first 6 months of this year has far exceeded like the highest number we had maybe in the last 5 or 10 years. I forget what the year was that they were referencing, but we're only halfway through the year, and the spread of measles is just starting. And then, of course, how measles travel, right? They have TSA approval to get in the front line onto airplanes. And apparently, one of the biggest danger zones is, if you're traveling and you're using airlines, the fear, and this was just in the headlines, that it's been documented that some of the spread of measles might be directly related to travel.
Well,
And
they have we have an answer for that. All we have to do is get out those crappy green electrostatic sprayers that don't work and start spraying the airplanes down, so they have a second life potentially, right? Because
that
we have products that actually are effective against measles, unlike what was going on back during our famous times of germ washing and all that, which we personally took down 2 airlines because. You're talking about measles, but
so to clarify that, we took down the advertising
yes,
of
yes,
two
I'm sorry. You're
airlines.
correct.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
Um,
no planes were crashed. No.
yes, right, right,
But
exactly.
but in
But
this case, at least we've been publishing for the last month or so. Bullen fortunately has a whole bunch of products that are effective against measles, so it's not that difficult as long as you know what to use. I mean, why don't you use a product that kills it as versus a product that doesn't kill it? Even though if
yeah,
you're not worried about measles, why don't you just go ahead and use a product that is going to be effective if you run into measles, right?
and always follow the manufacturer's instructions for use, MyFu, because that's how it's been tested to be
Yep.
effective or efficacious on these things. And
Yep.
I think I have never seen a label that says walk around with the magic wand and just wave it and everything goes away. So
And wipe
if
it
you use it,
immediately after you spray it. Yeah.
yeah, it's you follow the instructions, you're good to go, you know. But that's not the only thing out there, Scott.
Oh, there's more?
There's actually pertussis, which you know as.
Whooping cough. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that one's another one of those deals that kind of came out of the blue. I can remember whooping cough being a concern when we were all kids,
Yeah. Right.
you know, but that one's kind of popped back up again. So that's a little weird. But we've got things that can help fight pertussis. It's on the kill claim, so that's a
Yep.
good thing. And then, you know, we worry about things like salmonella, which
Oh,
is directly
that's a good
related to
old one.
food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Salmonella. That's a nice one. I think Chipotle and a couple others had issues with that in the past, right?
Yeah. Well, you know, the interesting thing about it, though, is A, there are disinfectants effective against salmonella, A, you know,
Yep.
many of ours, right? And secondly, when things like this happen, what it tends to make me start to think about is you can have the world's best disinfectant, but if you don't use it properly,
Yeah.
then things that you're hoping to cause, like a disinfected or sanitized surface, don't necessarily occur.
Yep.
So, you know, it does always boil down to not just having the right tools, but the right knowledge of how to use it, which
Yeah.
leads us back to MIFU, manufacturer's instructions for use. So my kids heard me saying the word MIFU and they thought, like, what are you saying? You know, like, no, it's an acronym. But that's not the only thing out there, Scott.
Well, there's more?
There's more. There's listeria.
Oh, yeah.
So that's another one.
That's one you got to watch out for.
Yeah, and apparently the biggest concern is listeria occurring in foods that end up going bad, right? So
Yep.
it's ready to eat foods and things like that.
Yep.
And then there's another one out there, Scott.
Yeah.
Another one.
This one's very unusual.
This one. And the medical community is the first community that says that from an antibiotic standpoint, they got squatta to deal with it. In other words,
Two shows in a row.
so it's the I had to. So the CDC and the World Health Organization and EPA are all calling this the world's newest superbug. And a superbug is defined as an organism where there is no treatment for it yet. You know, we as humankind, we tend to follow along. Mother Nature sets the rules, and then we figure out how to fight these things.
Hopefully.
But
Yeah.
this one is interesting to me, Scott, because this superbug is just a unique strain of Pseudomonas aeruginosa. And I bring that up because I can say it, number one, and number two, because it's a traditional kill claim that you would see on a hospital grade disinfectant.
Right.
So traditional 2 ounce per gallon or whatever hospital grade disinfectant
Yeah, almost every product has it.
would carry that Pseudomonas aeruginosa kill claim. So that's the good news. The issue of why it's been designated a superbug is merely because once it grabs hold inside somebody's body, they don't have an antibiotic for it. But we, as a cleaning industry, we can shut down the ability for it to spread from surface to surface because we have disinfectants for it. So that's kind of been the news. And because
Well,
we're
wait a
looking at
second.
the...
You passed over what the superbug's going to do. So it's actually feeding on the plastics.
Yeah, I did pass over that.
Yeah. So my first thought, aside from thinking, oh my God, that's terrible, is maybe they can utilize this for like dissolving all the plastics that's floating in the oceans and stuff. I don't know. Maybe there's some spin-off effect of it, but that's really dangerous because if you're talking about it getting into sutures and stuff that normally dissolve, right?
Yeah, sutures, hearts, stents,
Yeah. Yeah.
things like that. And it reminds me of a Jancast.com episode we did where we were talking with the Hospital Surfaces Group, a new
Yes.
division
Yeah.
of the ISSA. And their concern at that point was that there's a lot of different kinds of surfaces that exist within a hospital and within the equipment. So some of the equipment is plastic covers, and some of the equipment has metal pieces. Some of the furnishings in a hospital or a healthcare facility may include plastics. And so the big concern now is because it's a potential food source, is it going to be harder to kill?
Yeah. Wow.
But I think that's going to set the stage for the healthcare services group to pursue a lot of research on that. So I think there'll be more to come on that, Scott.
Well, if that's not enough, then we still have supply chain stuff. And those of you that listened to the last Jancast, we had a report from a duo, a podcasting duo that read over the Jancast report on supply chain. So if you haven't listened to that previous show, obviously you can see it if you're on the Jancast page now listening to this one. It's the one right below. It's an audio one, but spectacular because those two hosts are talking about the stuff that Jancast.com's doing. It's just unbelievable. So,
And they were friends of yours, right?
yes, that's right. Yeah, they're AI friends. They're the best kind, you know? Know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we have raw material pricing that's still going crazy. Everybody's kind of using it as an excuse to raise prices. I'm not sure whether or not they're all real. I mean, obviously delaminating and things like that, that's unrelated to general supply chain because that's based on kind of environmental issues, whether or not the orange growth that came through the way they thought it was going to be. But we still have global shipping disruptions and everything else on top of it. So it's just kind of one thing after another, waiting to see, is it going to be as bad as everybody thinks it's going to be or not, right?
Well, there were a couple things related to the shipping. I mean, when it comes to delimonene, it's a derivative of orange.
Yep.
Some of the orange crop comes from South America, and I would
Yeah,
imagine
Brazil.
that's being
Yeah.
shipped, not being driven. So if it's shipping out of container ships, then the big question that you had brought up prior was, they can't even leave their dock till the ships are full.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's the delays that could incur
Yep.
as well. So, and then I think the other comment that you had made previously is that it's not just delimonene. There are other ingredients that can also be sourced from Europe and other parts of the world that would also be delivered via a shipping cargo liner, like Watts even, right?
Yeah, yep, yep, yep. Metal, all of it. And then on top of that, we have the demand surge for summer facility cleaning. You know, historically in the past, schools close. That's when they do all the cleanup, right? I
Yeah.
mean, typically, back in the day, they used to strip out whole school districts every summer if they needed it or not. It was just the protocol put in place, right?
Yeah, it's kind of
Those were the good old days.
that was the paradigm that needed to shift. I mean, now all the finishes that are of any merit have lifespans that could go 2, 3, maybe 5 years because of the UV filters that are built into the modern polymers. So, and I talk with a lot of schools often, as you know, and all too often they're just like, why are you stripping this year? Didn't you do it last year? Yeah, because we do it every year. And I'm like, my question is always, I'm guessing it's because the weather is so cool and there's no humidity during July and August. And they're like, well, no, it's the worst. I'm like, then you need to shift this paradigm because.
Yeah, no, they're looking forward to all the chairs sticking to the newly applied floor finish
Right.
because of the bonding between the polymer and the glides, right?
Yeah.
Those were the good old days too, right?
Oh gosh,
And then
I can
actually
remember that.
recently now, maybe this will cut back some of the stripping because the products definitely got better. But we're getting calls nowadays like, what do you do with the stuff that you stripped? And we've got a couple of unique products, a new AlkaClear neutralizer, but that same material can be used to coagulate polymer out of stripping solution because you might think, oh, I just pour all that stuff I took off the floor, which has metal interlock and stuff like that. You just put it down the storm sewer or the wastewater sewer. You can't do that anymore.
No.
So we've had calls where facility had to figure out how do we dispose of all this stuff that we got off the floor, and just it ends up AlkaClear and used at the proper dilution makes the polymer separate out, and then you can throw it away separately versus putting it down the drain. So who knows, right?
Well, again, another first by the Bullen companies.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. And that was kind of out of, we had good customer call up saying, hey, we got in a lot of trouble because we got caught putting this stuff down the sewer. And I said, well, you shouldn't be putting that stuff down the sewer anyway. So, but we figured out, yeah, you can use this product to do all that. And then, and then on the positive note, we've got the AI to help us out, right?
Well, that's the amazing thing is all the AI when it was first introduced, I think many of us had a very specific idea on
Yeah.
where it might be applicable. But now with it's kind of expanding as to all the different things that you can do with AI. And it was quite enlightening to me to figure out all the things that you might be able to do. And with the fact that we're halfway through 2025,
Yep.
a lot of businesses are kind of looking at their P&Ls and saying, where are we? Are we doing, are we where we thought we'd be halfway through the year? And if so, that's great. Can we do better? And if not, what improvements might we want to do? So you had brought up in a e-blast that went out to the supply chain regarding some of the other ways that you can use AI.
Yep. Yep. So there's the whole list. So if you're not familiar with the Sunday Sales Blast, we've been publishing the Sunday Sales Blast for, I don't know, almost as long as Jancast. So last Sunday's, which was yesterday, uh, email kind of covered all the different things you can kind of use for AI chatbots, for customer service. You were particularly interested, Mark, in the one that I actually hadn't even heard of before, Google Looker Studio.
Yeah, well, that one impressed me because I think a lot of us like to put out or put a lot of things together on
Yeah.
spreadsheets, right?
Yep.
And obviously, the Google platform allows you to import Excel spreadsheets and things like that. And it kind of makes them more universally able to be read by folks that may not have that particular
Yeah.
platform, right?
Yep. Yep.
But the fact that they have an AI that will study those spreadsheets and then give you a variety of maybe comments or graphs or an analysis of that is fascinating. And my biggest struggle over the years with spreadsheets is I mean, I know how to do simple formulas like add this column up and,
Yeah.
alphabetize that column, but sometimes you're looking for something much more sophisticated of an analysis of a
Yep.
spreadsheet. And so
Yep.
I'm thinking that the Google Looker Studio app as an AI might have the ability to provide some deeper analysis that's kind of been a struggle for folks like me that haven't
Yeah.
necessarily done a deep dive on the heavy duty formulas.
The cool thing about some of these is that while you're giving it the prompts to do whatever you want it to do, it also is going to show you how it's going to solve those prompts or answer those prompts. So you can actually learn from it. I mean, people use it for coding and stuff now. So they say, oh, I would never have thought of doing it that way. So maybe this Looker thing will enable us to learn some new ways of doing analysis that we hadn't thought of. All
Yeah.
good stuff, I think, in general, as long as they're not, creating some crazy videos that you said something you didn't say, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that is the other side of AI, right? The dark side. But all technology's got a potential dark side.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's a lot. We had a lot to talk about there, and you know what that prompts us to talk about is the next couple months we're going to take the summer off, right, Mark?
Yeah, we are. We're
Yeah,
gonna spend some time with our families and
yeah.
friends and surfboards and foiling kites.
And we have lots of content since we've been doing this for 20 years. So we're going to plug up some. We do a show every 2 weeks, so it's not a huge amount of shows, but we'll be doing some past rebroadcast as well as if anything super critical comes up, we're definitely going to pop out a new show. So you're not going to lose what's going on in the world and everything else because we're not doing live shows, but we will be doing them if we need to.
So my guess is there may also be like an AI review of a really good show
Yes.
where they can say Jancast.com reports and then they kind of like
Yeah, I could have
that would be
I could have one of those bots review like the last 10 shows and give highlights and stuff. That
actually.
would be cool.
It'd be great to have that one like review the one that went viral regarding beer.
The green, the Corona beer and the green sprayers. Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
30,000 plus views on that so far.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I'd love to hear what AI reporting staff would say about Jancast reports on that one.
yeah.
So
Well, thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in, and thank you, Mark, for joining me on another great show. And I'm sure I'll see you around during the summer, and we'll see each other, and I'll call upon you if I need to, if there's some emergency Jancast we need to do. But other than that, we're gonna take it easy a little bit. Just kind of kick back, and it's like, yeah, in my mind, right? Yep. So
I think
see
it'll be
y'all.
busy. All right. Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you all. Bye-bye.
Tune in to Jancast time to clean the air. Sparkling ideas, you're aware. From the floors to the sky, let's make it new. Jancast will see this mission through. Jancast.com, where clean begins. Podcasting dreams where fresh winds. Eco thoughts and healthy spins. Jancast.com, let's dive in. Dust off the doubts and shine the day. Insights clear to light our way. From scrub to eco tips, bright and true. Jancast here for me and you. Jancast.com, where clean begins. Podcasting dreams where fresh winds. Eco thoughts and healthy spins. Jancast.com, let's dive in. Dust off the doubts and shine the day. Insights clear to light our way. From scrub to eco tips, bright and true. Jancast here for me and you.